Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. Amma ba'd. I didn't realize that somebody wrote this from here. Yahya. When I was erasing it, I realized that it says Noon Mushaddada. I thought it was from the previous class. So today we were supposed to do more reading. But there was 2-3 things before we start. I'm just going to close the door. If you remember, we talked about the basmala last week. Anybody researched the topic? Nobody? All right. We did this last week. So what I said was not very accurate. So the correction is that this is in the Arabic language. In the classical Arabic, if you write the full basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, then this is how you would write Bismi. And if it's not the full basmala, then you would write it like this. This is in the classical Arabic. But in the Quran, actually, in the Quran, this particular word is only mentioned in the Basmala, which is 114 times, plus 113 plus the one found in Surah An-Naml, so that's 114. And then 2 of them are found, the word Bismi Rabbika is found in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, like Brother Mustafa mentioned last week, twice in that surah, and in Sabbih Bismi Rabbika, Surah Al-A'la, Sabbih Bismi Rabbika, Iqra' Bismi Rabbika, yeah, Surah Al-A'la, right? Iqra' Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq. Is that the one? Al-Alaq. Al-Alaq. Yeah. So those are how many? 4. And Bismillahi Majraha, like Brother Abu Yahya mentioned. So 4 of them, plus the Basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that we mentioned 114 times. So in Bismillahi Majraha, like Brother Abu Yahya mentioned, it's written like this, even though it's not a full Basmala. So it defies the classical Arabic rule. But in the other ones, in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah Al-Iqra', it's written like this, right? With this alif. The alif is not pronounced anyways, so it is pronounced the same way. Just the writing is different, right? So the only difference here is that the one in Surah Hud, Bismillahi Majraha, which is written like this, it should have been written like this in the classical Arabic. That's the only difference. The other thing I wanted to mention, since we are using, a lot of people are using nowadays phones and tablets to read the Quran, the application that I recommend, especially for those who have Android system, is Quran Android. Anyone is familiar with this program? Quran Android. You familiar with it? Quran Android looks like this. I'm going to show you the I don't know if you can see it. You can search for it. It's on Google Play, Quran. Something that is useful in this program is that you can have multiple bookmarks. Something which is more difficult to do in a normal mushaf, in a book, when you have like so many different bookmarks that you can refer to quickly. The other thing is that I remember one day when I was small in our masjid back home, we had heard Sheikh Abdul Basit recite on the TV, on the national TV, and we only had like this at the beginning of when they open the channel, and when they close it, they put a little bit of Quran there. that may be the only Islamic thing on TV. So he recited beautifully one of the ayat. So we wanted to, sometimes you hear something and you want to recite it or you want to memorize it because it was recited so beautifully, right? So we wanted to find out where this ayah is in the Quran, to go back and look at it or memorize it or read it. So we went to the masjid and we referred to one of the brothers who used to, he was a very old man who memorized the Quran a long time ago, and he used to recite the Quran in the masjid. We see him walk around and review every week. And he told me later on that he used to finish the Quran every week, reciting, going back and forth like this. So we went to him, right? We told him, we want to find out where this ayah is. And I remembered what the ayah was, or at least a few words from the ayah. And I remember until today what the ayah was. So we told him, where is this ayah? So he thought about it for a second, and he opened the Mus'haf and he said, here it is, Surah An-Nisa. Right? And he showed us where it was. Today, you can easily, with this program or similar program or Google or any other program, find the ayah or find a word. How many times this word is repeated, right? This thing was not available before. This is in itself, it's like a blessing, right? People of the past, like I was reading today, Ibn Taymiyyah said something that, or somebody else said the word khawf, right? Fear, I believe, or something else, is not mentioned in the Quran except in in the state of something it's not praised, right? لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون, and similar ayat. Basically to come to this conclusion, you have to know the Quran basically more than anybody else. And imagine that if you don't have a computer, you won't be able to even know how many times the word khawf is mentioned in the Quran, right? Unless you know the Quran so much and you recite it and you know the tafsir and you know it word by word. So this is Quran, Android, and other applications are basically a blessing for us. The other thing is, and inshallah I saved a picture of this instrument that they use in the people who do music, they use it, and it's called metronome. And people who you've probably seen this, it's something like this. It's a small instrument that has a piece coming out, and this piece goes like a clock. It ticks. It goes back and forth. It ticks. And this arm here has something like this. It's like a weight that you can adjust. So if you bring it down, it goes faster. If you bring it up, it goes slower, or the other way around. And here they have different names for different speeds. And I thought this is similar to what we are trying to achieve when we are reciting the Quran. It's basically, it regulates the timing. The timing. So if somebody is reading that in the Noon al-Mushaddada or Mim al-Mushaddada, we have to do 2 haraka. He doesn't know what 2 haraka is, or how long is it really, unless he heard it from somebody, or unless he has an instrument like this that says, okay, 2 haraka, you have to set it here, and this is a 2 haraka, right? Or he's listening to somebody who is teaching him. This is how long it is supposed to be, right? So if you go fast, this is how it's supposed to be. If you go slow, this is how it's supposed to be. We could do a very quick and small review of all the rules that we did before we start reciting, if you are interested. So, in the first lesson, and you can stop me if you get questions along the way. In the first lesson, we spoke about the isti'adah and the basmala. You remember isti'adah and basmala? And we said there's 4 ways of connecting these 3 components. The first component is the isti'adah, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. The second component is the basmala, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. And the third component is the ayah, the first ayah. So there's 4 ways of connecting them. We either split all 3. We say the isti'adah, we stop. We say the basmala, we stop. And then we start with the ayah. Or we connect all 3. That means we don't stop. We say the isti'adah, and then we say the basmala without stopping, and then we say the first ayah without stopping. Or we connect the first and the second, and we disconnect the third. So we say the isti'adah and the basmala without stopping, and then we stop after the basmala, and then we read the first ayah. Or we disconnect the first one from the second one, and we connect the second one to the third one. So we say the isti'adah, we stop, and then we say the basmala and the first ayah without stopping. So these are 4 ways. And what else did we say? If we are connecting from one surah to another. So if we are connecting from one surah to another, it's a very similar process, except that there is one method that is not allowed. Which one is that? Yes, Jazakallah khair, Brother Hanif. Connecting the end of the surah with the basmala and stopping. This is the method that is not allowed. Because a listener would think that the basmala is part of the first ayah, the first surah. So I thought this was pretty simple, right? Pretty simple lesson. And usually, as I said, when we start a level, we start with something simple so that we can warm up. The second lesson was about ahkam al-waqf, the rules of stopping. And at the end of the mushaf, usually they put the those stop signs, and they explain what they are. So if you have a mushaf at home, you open it, you go at the end, and they will tell you what the stop signs are. And one of the top stop signs that we spoke about is the waqf al-lazim, where you have to stop. And the symbol for this in Mushaf al-Madina and many other masahif is the meme, a small meme. The meme that doesn't have the stick. It's a meme that doesn't have this stick here. It's a small meme. So when you see that, usually they put it on top of a word, at the end of the word, on top. That means you have to stop there. Otherwise, the other major stop sign is the lam, alif lam, or lam alif, which means la, no, which means you shouldn't stop, because it will affect the meaning to a great extent. And some other stop signs that are minor, such as the sili and the qili that we spoke about, and stopping at the end of the ayat. It is a sunnah to stop at the end of the ayat. And also, if a person is able to read an ayah without stopping, right? Usually, if it doesn't have any major stop signs, so you read an ayah without stopping, so that you are certain that the meaning will be most likely complete. And when you are reading something that says قالوا or قال وقال الذين كفروا, and similar statements, the statement of the disbelievers, the statements of the hypocrites, and so on, we always try to go back to the word qala or qalu, so that we attribute the statements to them, right? And we are not saying the statements ourselves. After that, we gave an introduction to the noon, sakina, and the tanween, and we have seen, we have compared and hopefully understood why did we combine the Noon Sakina and Tanween under the same heading. Right? I hope everyone is aware of why did we combine these two. It is because the Tanween has a pronounced Noon at the end, and the Noon is a Noon. This is a Noon that we are basically pronouncing when we say the Tanween. When we say, for example, the word Hamiyatan, we hear a Noon at the end, or Hamiyatin, we hear a Noon at the end. When you say Hamiyatun, we hear a Noon at the end, and that's why we group them under the same heading. And then we started with the first rule of the Noon Sakin of Tanween, which is the Idhar. And the Idhar simply was to pronounce the Noon or the Tanween as they are. Right? We pronounce the Noon as a Noon, and we pronounce the Tanween as a Tanween. And this happens when one of the 6 letters, the letters of the throat, Huruf al-Halq, come after the Noon Sakina or Tanween. The Hamza, the Ha, and the Ha, and the Kha, and the Ain, and the Ghain. Right? And then the next rule was the Idgham. And the Idgham is divided into 2, we said. The Idgham with the Ghunnah, right? And the Idgham without the Ghunnah. And the major difference here is that there's more timing in the Idgham with the Ghunnah, right? May yakun, for example. May yakun. And the other one is kind of more faster. Right? We don't spend too much time on the idgham because it doesn't have a ghunnah. Mir rabbika, we say. Mir rabbika. So we don't say mir rabbika. This was the major difference between the two. And we also said that it only happens in 2 words. In 2 words. And the third rule was the iqlab. The iqlab only happens when there's a ba after the Noon Sakin or Tanween. So it is called iqlab because we turn the Noon Sakina into a meme. That's why it is called iqlab. For example, min ba'di. Min ba'di. And then we spoke about the ikhfa. The ikhfa. And the ikhfa, we said that we are trying to hide the Noon, but we are preparing for the next letter. We are preparing ourselves to pronounce the next letter. And finally, last week we spoke about the Noon Mushaddada and the Noon al-Mushaddada, right? The Mim and the Noon that have a Shadda. And this is one of the most simple rules of Tajweed, where you just have to make 2 haraka. You make it long. Inna or imma, you're making it long. So this level basically covers something that is found very frequently in the Quran. So if a person doesn't master this level 1, he will be making a lot of mistakes, right? So we have to make sure that we practice quite a bit, and if we need help, we can get some help with the practice. The difference between giving a course of Tajweed and giving a course of, let's say, fiqh or anything else, is that the course of fiqh, for example, let's say we take the wudu. If we do a course of wudu, we can do a compressed course over a weekend or in a single day and do it like in 10 hours or 12 hours and talk about wudu, and everyone will understand it and we will move on. The Tajweed, you could do that, you could give the information, but then if you don't practice, there's no use for that information. Because the difference is that in the wudu, if you are thinking that in the wudu also you need practice, if somebody doesn't know wudu and then you give him a 10-hour course and you expect him to know wudu, And if a person is thinking that he also needs practice, yeah, the difference is that he may do it once and learn it. But the tajweed, even if you do it once, it's not going to be enough. You have to be able to do so many hours to get to a level where it is acceptable. This is the difference. And you won't be able to achieve it in a day or two or a week or two. So it's a big difference. So the reason we are doing this over a long period of time is that to give ourselves time to practice. So if we don't do that practice, then it's not going to be, the results are not going to be good. Does it make sense? I want you to understand this so that we can put more practice. All right? And also, things will be adding to this level 1 a lot more stuff. So if a person is not didn't master some of this noon, sakin and tanween that we spoke about in this level, then in level 2 and level 3 a person will be reading and thinking about 1,000 things while he's reading. Noon, sakin and tanween, and the basmala, and the noon al-mushaddada, and the ikhfa, and the idgham, and this. It's going to be overwhelming. Right? It's going to be too overwhelming. And that's why usually in the courses of Tajweed we'll get fewer and fewer people as we move on to other levels. Right? And you will find, and this is observed over the years in many different communities, is that you find that people at the beginning they are excited, so they do their homework and they practice at the beginning, but then at the end of the level they are not doing the same effort, and then in the next level even less. So this is the trend, so you have to know the trend to be able to succeed, inshallah. Any questions before we start reciting? Yes, brother.
What is going to be on the exam next week?
The exam next week is going to be Surah Al-Fatiha, Al-Humaza, and Al-Ghashiyah. Al-Ghashiyah from 1 to 17, the part that we read. Al-Humaza because we already read it when we did the Noon, Sakin and Tanween. And Al-Ghashiyah we read it quite a few times. We read from 1 to 17, we didn't read the whole surah. And Al-Fatiha we read it at the beginning of the course. And the test is a prerequisite for level 2, and the score has to be, I think, 60%. It's not a difficult test. You just have to open the Mus'haf and recite it, and then we'll comment on the mistakes that you did after everyone has passed the test. The test, of course, is open to everyone, the silent participant and non-silent participant, because it's a prerequisite for level 2 if you want to have any chance to be active in level 2. All right, any other question? All right. So last week we read this ayah in Surah Hud, which is ayah 48. So we said we're going to read it again, and hopefully we'll see a difference today. You started last week, or you didn't start so today? You started, yeah, that's true. Yes, Brother Luqman started, yeah, we have it on video. All right, let me find it. So, Surah Hud, ayah number 48. All right, everyone is ready? You can open the Mus'haf today. All right, go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وبركات عليك وعلى ممن معك ممن معك سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم.
Jazakallah khair. Even though it's a big difference between last week and this week, so it's a big improvement, but there are at least 4 or 5 things that you didn't do properly. The first one is mimman. We heard the noon of mimman, we heard it, and this is supposed to be what? The noon here. What rule is that? Yes, the noon. Idgham. So we are not supposed to hear the noon. So we were supposed to say mimman, and you said mimman. This is the first one. The second one is wa umamun sanumatti'um. Here the ikhfa, we heard the noon. So it's not umamun, it's umamun. Well, this one is this one we understand it's more difficult, it may need more practice. The other one was not difficult, you can do it. And then thumma clearly the meme has a shadda. Thumma. And yamassuhum minna. The meme, even though it's not a rule that we took already, but if you see shadda there, put more emphasis on it. And the noon after it, minna. Adabun. What's the rule in adabun? Idhar. You made it long. You said adabun alim. So it is supposed to be adabun alim. Simple. Alright? Jazakallah khair, brother, about that. Brother Abu Yahya.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى وأمم سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم.
Alright, Jazakallah khair, Abu Yahya. Good, inshallah. Yahya.
قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى ممن معك وأمم سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم.
So what do you think? Much better than last week. You can look at the video and see how you read it last week and how you read it this week. This week was very good, don't you agree, brothers? Was good, inshallah. Just a few minor things. I mean, if you want to be more perfect, the word barakatin, the ba is soft. We don't say ba, barakatin. Ba, bara, bara. Right? The ba is always soft. And there was something else minor, but just make sure the ba is always soft. Alright? Jazakallah khair, was excellent. Brother Mustafa.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى ممن معك وأمم سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم.
جزاك الله خير مصطفى. Ahmed is not here. Brother Hanif.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى أمم ممن معك وأمم سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم.
Jazakallah khair. When you say barakatin alayk, the timing in the tanween was not correct. That means the way you are reciting, you're going like let's say at this speed. When you reach the 10, you went too fast. Right? You can review the video and see that you should have given more timing when you said the 10. Not because it's idgham or anything, it is idhar. But if you go in this speed, you cannot go faster on a letter. Right? You have to give the same speed, otherwise it will not sound normal. So you can review it. Maybe if you review the two videos. No, I think last week you still had this. But if you review the video and think about the timing, and you'll see something happening there in barakatin. So if you say barakatin alayk, or if you say barakatin alayk, so you give it more time. Jazakallah khair. Brother Sharif Mahmoud. Brother Mus'ab is not here. Mus'ab, no. Abdullah is not here. Brother Adil. Brother Adil. ببطء أخي slowly.
قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى أمم ممن معك وأمم سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم.
جزاك الله خير أخي عادل. We want you to read slower. I know it's hard if you are used to certain speed. It's very hard to go slower, but you need to try. Go slower than that, right? Slower and slower. All right, Jazakallah khair. All right, Brother Luqman. Breathe.
I'm sweating too. قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى أمم ممن معك وأمم سنمتعهم
ثم yes
ثم يمسهم
يما
ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم. عذاب أليم.
Alright, Jazakallah khair. You can watch the video, and of course you are not going to be able to see yourself, but you can hear it. Today we are trying a new microphone. This microphone is a Bluetooth microphone, and it has the option to record from here and from the camera as well. So it has like a 5.1 surround, which is a very nice feature, that it picks up the sound from here and it picks up the sound from there, which is useful when we are reading in a group like this. So you'll be able to hear the difference between last week and this week. A big difference. I believe that you are one of the weakest here in terms of tajweed. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to make the effort. So you need a lot more practice, more than anybody else here, or at least the ones that I heard that are not silent. And you can get help from the other brothers that you can see in the masjid. Don't be shy to ask them. Brothers who are in the masjid that are known to have a good tajweed. So you ask them, and if they have time, they can sit down and read more. All right, but it's a big difference today, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. So you still concentrate on, as I said, fixing those, the tha and the dal and those things, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. So this was Surah Hud 48. Let's read now Surah Al-Adiyat. We'll start with Al-Adiyat and then we'll read Surah Al-Nas if there is time. Okay, brother Baghdad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرنا به نقعا فوسطنا به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود إن الإنسان لربه لكنود.
What's the rule in the word insan? The word insan, what is the rule? Anybody wants to help? Brother Luqman? Ikhfa. Do you agree with him? Al-insan. Or you don't agree? Why do we have ikhfa there, Brother Luqman?
Nur Sakina followed by Sin, which is one of the letters of, which letters of Ikhfa? Yeah.
Which is a letter of ikhfa.
Yeah.
All right. You still don't agree? Or you don't know what he's talking about? Al-insan. Not inna. I didn't say inna. I said al-insan. I'm not talking about inna. I'm talking about the word insan.
Yeah, I see.
You see it now? All right. You didn't do ikhfa there. Innal insana. All right, try it again.
إن الإنسان لربه لكنود إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير
Jazakallah khair. Did you read it at home, brother? Or you heard it at home? You heard it at home?
I practice a little bit.
All right. Al-Adiyat, it seems like simple, right? But if I don't ask you to join the ayat, don't join them, because we learned that you have to stop at the end of the ayat, and also because you put yourself in more trouble. Like you intentionally put yourself in more trouble, because there's a lot of ikhfa and a lot of other things that you actually didn't like do perfectly. So it's better to avoid it if I didn't ask you to join them, the ayat. All right, Jazakallah khair. Brother Abu Yahya.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
Jazakallah khair. We're going to be reading Surah Al-Adiyat in other levels as well. And once we do that, we'll correct some other mistakes that are relevant to those levels. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Yahya?
والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
جزاك الله خير. ما شاء الله. Good. Brother Mustafa.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
لخبير لخبير.
إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
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 Still strong.
لخبير.
Practice it inshallah. جزاك الله خير. جزاك الله خير. تفضل حنين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا ففسقن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Adil.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
What is the rule in يومئذ, Brother Adil? What was the mistake? You made it too long. يومئذ لخبير. You notice that, everyone? And بعثرة, the tha, it's not a ta. I didn't write it on your file, but I mentioned it to Brother Luqman. Are you with us, Brother Luqman? The tha, you have to have the tip of the tongue out between the teeth, so that it is bu'thira, not bu'tira. Alright? Jazakallah khair. Who else did I miss? You are the last one, right?
Yeah.
Alright, go ahead.
والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نكها فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بصر ما في أفلا يعلم إذا بصر ما
بعثرة. We just spoke about it. بعثرة. Yeah.
بصر ما في القبور وأوصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
All right, جزاك الله خير. Jazakallah khair. So let me read it and then we'll try to read Surah An-Nas, hopefully fast enough before we conclude, inshallah. I will join the ayat so that you have an idea on how to do it in case you want to try it next time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. Let's read Surah An-Nas now, starting again with Brother Baghdad.
أعوذ أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر
What's the rule in min? What's the rule?
الإخفاء.
All right. You agree with him?
Yep.
All right.
Let's
Try it again. Min?
من شر.
But it's long. Try it long. Min sharri.
من شر
Sharri.
من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
All right. جزاك الله خير. Brother Abu Yahya.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Yahya.
قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
جزاك الله خير. ما شاء الله. Brother Mustafa.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. شر من شر
Well, it will come inshallah. As long as you know what it is, so it will come. جزاك الله خير. Brother Hanif.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
جزاك الله خير Brother Hanif. Brother عادل.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس.
أعد.
قل أعوذ برب الناس.
أعوذ.
قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
جزاك الله خير. Brother Luqman, right? All right.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
Jazakallah khair. If you try to make it a little bit longer, that will be better.
All of it?
The noon, the noon mushaddada.
Oh.
Yeah. Just a tiny bit longer. All right, I'm going to read it and see if you can notice something while I'm reading it. I'm going to do something that I want you to notice. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Let's start with the Brother Yahya. Did you notice anything? All right, that's okay. Anybody noticed? Yes, Brother Hanif?
Once you continue to make raw soft, once you stop at shar, it will again.
All right, Jazakallah khair. Did you notice that? Did you notice what Brother Hanif said? That when I stopped on the word shar, I read it differently than when I continued. And this is what I was mentioning the other day, is that depending on what depending on if you stop or not, the rule may be different. And this is one of those spots that we're going to talk about when we get to the Ahkam al-Ra, the rules of the letter Ra. But this is a clear example, if you were able to hear it, is that because I stopped, the rule is different. So it's the sound, of course, the rule means that the sound is different. So when I stopped, I said shar, I made the Ra strong, and when I continued, I say sharri, the Ra was soft. Of course, the sheen is always soft. The problem here is that the common mistake is that we tend to say shar. This is how we say it in the slang, shar. So in the slang, this is how we use this word. We use it with a strong sha to emphasize the evil in it, right? To emphasize the evil, we say shar, right? So, but the word, the letter sheen is always soft in the Arabic language. The letter sheen, unlike some of the letters that are sometimes strong, sometimes soft, the letter sheen is always soft. But because the Ra comes after it, it will tend to make a person make it strong. Right? All right, we managed to finish those 3 surah. Alhamdulillah. So next week we're going to have a test. So Surah as we said, Al-Fatiha, Al-Ghashiyah from 1 to 17, and Surah Al-Humaza in this order. I'm not going to ask you any questions. You just read it, and once everyone has read, then we can comment on the mistakes that the person may have done. And that's it for next week, inshallah. And then right away after that, we'll start level 2. Level 2, we're going to be starting with something that is very simple, but yet crucial to understanding the mad, the different types of mad. We're going to be starting with huruf al-mad, and unless you understand what huruf al-mad are, you won't be able to understand the mad. So it's very crucial. So it is simple. If you understand it, it's very simple. So we always start with something simple and then we'll build on it. The mad is one of the rules that most people will find it difficult in terms of timing, right? I mean, you may hear people say, making a word long enough, or making the mad long enough, and so on. But is it the correct timing, right? Sometimes we hear a reciter recite, and we think it's a beautiful what he recited, most of the time it's because of the timing. If somebody else tries to do the same thing, he may have a nice voice, but if he doesn't get the timing correct, then it may not sound as beautiful. That's why the people who do music, they have this instrument to get the timing right. If they don't get the timing right, then it will not sound nice, right? And that's why they are paid millions of dollars once they get the timing right. On top of having like a nice voice, of course, they have to have the timing right. Otherwise it will sound horrible. All right, any questions before we conclude and pray Salat al-Isha? All right, so next week, inshallah, be prepared.
Do you think there'll be enough time for everybody to read?
There should be enough time, plus we will have time to talk about or comment on the mistakes as well. So reading Surah Al-Fatiha shouldn't take more than like 3-4 minutes per person. So yeah, we'll have time, inshallah. All right, subhanakallah wa hamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakumullah khair.